Welcome to the Artist Morning Podcast. My name's Darius. Your name's whatever your mama named you. And here we go, baby. Episode 3. We made it. We have stacked episode 3 for you. Before I tell you about our guests for this episode, let me take one moment and tell you about what the heck the Artist Morning is all about. The Artist Morning is a community of artists, creators, meditators, and really anyone who believes there is something inside their hearts that is longing to be expressed. We meet virtually 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, for a group guided meditation, and then we do a group writing exercise that is super simple, private, and also crazy effective in helping you access your creativity. The Artist Morning Podcast, this thing right here, is additional support to our community. This is where we dive deep with some of my favorite creators and spiritual teachers and pull out insights and tactics to help you and me continue creating more amazing stuff. Our guest today is one of my all-time favorite humans. Jenn Mansell is a certified breathwork facilitator, a somatic coach, and an artist. Some people don't know this, but Jenn's been dancing for decades. She's been doing photography for over 15 years. And Jenn's also a sought-out DJ. When it comes to her breathwork practice, I've been really fortunate to be able to work with Jenn both one-on-one and in group experiences. She has personally helped me work through dozens of creative blocks. And in the past few years, I've watched Jenn's coaching business and her breathwork business just take off. Now, you might be saying, Darius, you're a little bit biased because you see, Jenn is also my romantic partner. Very true. And yes, 100%. I am definitely biased. So don't take my word for it. Check out the episode and see for yourself. Or better yet, at the end of the podcast, Jenn shares an offer, a free breathwork experience offer. So if you're interested in breathwork, you're interested in working with Jenn, here is your chance. That's enough with the intro. Let's jump into the episode. Episode 3 coming at you. Here we go. Jenn Mansell, welcome to the Artist Morning Podcast.
Hello. How are you?
I am good. This is cool. We've probably done like 20 podcasts together, but it's been maybe a year since our last one. So I'm really excited to do some podcasting today.
Same. It's really funny that we're in 2 different places where we both live and we're podcasting with each other. It's kind of fun.
I wish we could blame it on the quarantine, but we're quarantine buddies, so it doesn't really count. It's more of a technical thing because there's no camera op, so we can blame it on the quarantine. We need to do it through Zoom. So you, my dear, are many things. You are a somatic practitioner. You are this coach whose business seems to be doing so well lately. You are one of the best group facilitators I know of. And of course, you are my partner, my love, which is probably the most important job. Let's be real, right? But also, you are this amazing breathwork facilitator. And I think where I'd like to start with this podcast is maybe diving a little bit deeper into that side of your practice and your life and your business. And maybe if we can just start with just a foundational explanation of what the heck is breathwork.
Sure. Yeah. Breathwork is definitely something that is gaining a lot of interest and momentum these days. So a lot of people have now seen, Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop episode where they have Wim Hof on there, and Wim Hof is one of the, in this day and age, he's one of the leading researchers around the science behind breath work. Really, breath work can be many different things. It's kind of like saying yoga. There's lots of different kinds. breath work is using the breath to help you elicit a desired result, whether that's becoming more present, more focused, more energized. Athletes use it, singers use it. And there are different types of breath work depending on what you are looking to create in the body, what state you're looking to create in the body. The type of breath work that I am trained in and most excited about is a more therapeutic type of breath work where you do longer sessions of breathing. You breathe over the course of an hour along to music. You're guided and facilitated, and you breathe in a specific breath pattern to help you access they call them altered states of consciousness. So without that sounding really scary, just ways of having perspective on your life, and seeing things differently than you're normally able to see things. If you've ever done psychedelics or even smoked marijuana or something, you know that there's oftentimes that experience of like just having a different viewpoint on your life and what you're going through. And breathwork is something which helps us get beyond our super analytical thinking mind that's trying to figure out our entire life, and access states of thinking and being beyond that.
And so is it like a relatively new thing? Like Wim Hof, I feel like I've been hearing about him for the last 5-10 years, or is there a history behind breathwork you can share?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, breath work dates way, way, way back in Eastern culture. It's been used in yogic traditions as pranayama. It's been used in chanting, because if you're going to chant for a really long period of time, you need to be able to like regulate your breath properly. And it started, breath work, the more therapeutic type, started in the West, in Western culture, with a bunch of different psychologists and psychotherapists that were actually doing studies on LSD back in the 60s and 70s. And they were studying the therapeutic effects of using LSD with people who had experienced PTSD, were war veterans, or were struggling with addiction. So they were having incredible successful results. And then, of course, LSD at that time was legal and then became illegal. And these therapists were, just so dedicated to wanting to continue to help people. They continued to research, like, how do we help people access this same place that they can get to, where they can, sort of go back, watch the things that caused them trauma, like a movie, see them through the lens of compassion, see things differently, find more love for themselves, and actually heal some of these, deeply traumatic wounds.
But doing that without the LSD.
Without the LSD, yeah. And what they started to recognize is that when people were taking the LSD, when left to their own devices, they were breathing in this like very specific breath pattern, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. And the body was almost like doing it on its own. So they started to get curious about, like, okay, maybe the breath has something to do with it. Maybe the breath can help people access that same place. And so then they started doing, back in those days, they were calling it breath therapy. And what they realized is that if you take someone and you get them to vigorously breathe for sort of 15 to 20 minutes, build up your oxygen levels, that people's brain chemistry changes and their physiology changes, and they're able to access those similar states of consciousness that people were accessing with psychedelic substances.
So there's the science behind breathwork as well. What I'm understanding is that it's been going on for thousands of years in multiple cultures. Mm-hmm. And then in the 70s, it sounds like science kind of picked it up and dove into the scientific sides and could see the value in it.
Yeah, Stan Groff was like the big guy that was leading the research, and he this day has done the most research around breathwork and created the holotropic breathwork modality.
Got it. And so fast forward to 2020. How are you using it in your practice with your clients, with your groups? Has it changed from that more scientific approach?
I would say myself, I use it more as a healing modality. There are definitely people who are like, this is how you hack your brain chemistry. This is how you should breathe. Wim Hof matches breath work with cold therapy to really help you learn to regulate your nervous system, which is awesome. The type of breath work that I'm more interested in is helping people heal through trauma, through their past wounds, their past conditioning, because I'm really interested in helping people access more of themselves, access more of their expression, more of who they are, more of how they want to like be and move and live in the world. Mm-hmm. And so I use it in groups. So we do groups of 30 people, 20 to 30 people, all breathing together, having a group experience, a really deep feeling, emotional experience. And then I also use it with people one-on-one to help them sort of take these deeper journeys, much like you might take a psychedelic journey, take these deeper journeys into themselves to work through things that are coming up in their life in a way that is beyond the mind, which is really where I think you can access a deeper truth for yourself through the body.
And so I've been fortunate to do both of those. I've done the one-on-one and the group. And then God,
don't tell them about our first one-on-one experience.
It was intense, but it was transformative. I won't go into the details of that, but the combo of them was really powerful, right? Because the one-on-one, it's like it's your own personal experience, and you get a more connected one-on-one vibe. But the group was really powerful too, because then you can also hear and interact with other people, and that adds a layer to your experience that for me was the healing breakthrough. Like I went into the trauma one-on-one with you, and then in the group, hearing someone else have an emotional experience, it gave me permission, because it was a man having an emotional experience, to finally express that thing in me from like when I was 8 or 9 or whatever it was. So I think the combo is so powerful. And then you also have this third thing that is new thanks to COVID, which is the virtual one. Can you speak about that a little bit?
Yeah, like what I'm doing now?
Yeah. Because that's not one person, that's not 30 people.
Yeah,
that's a
we've
few
been gathering
hundred
like
people.
150 to 200 people every Friday night. My whole family has started coming, which is hilarious and amazing. And it's so cool. But the thing I love the most about breathwork is that even in the group experience, it's like the brilliance of it to me is that you're having a deep internal solo journey, but you're so deeply impacted by the people around you. You're in community. How many opportunities do we have in 2020 to do our healing on ourselves, do our own deep healing work in community, where you're not all wrapped up in everyone else's emotional shit, but you have the support of other people who are like, yeah, like I'm going through it too. I feel shitty today. I feel heavy today. Yeah. And they can come together and have their own journeys, but in a container where there's a whole group of people, a community of people.
I love the three together. They're not a replacement. They're a package, because like the one-on-one is one-on-one. You can go deeper. the small group, you're still in person and you can hear and interact. The bigger group, you're absolutely right. There's this like energy from hundreds of people being there, and you're in your bedroom by yourself. So you can you can laugh, you can bawl. It's like a different flavor altogether, but the same beautiful core that you're offering. So who, from your experience, because I feel like you've probably done breath work with over 1,000 people now.
Yeah, definitely.
Who can benefit most from your style of therapeutic healing breath work?
Yeah, good question. I mean, I think the people that I see that benefit the most from this are definitely the people that can get stuck in their head sometimes. You know, and I'll speak for myself in being one of those people that sometimes it's been really hard for me just to sit and meditate. I've really wanted to work through something that I was, you know, stuck on or that was coming up for me, but I didn't have the ability to just sit and move through it. And so I find that breath work works really well for people who keep like getting in their own way. Breath work is all about surrendering, letting go, trusting the body, trusting the process, trusting the journey. So all of those things are like the opposite of figuring it out, making a plan, making a strategy. It's the total fucking opposite thing. So for those people that get stuck in this place of like overanalyzing, overthinking, obsessing, like all of that, it's really nice balance to do this thing where it's like, I have no idea what's going to happen. I am not attached to an outcome. I'm just going to breathe and I'm going to see what comes through. And I think it's a really powerful practice for those people who start to realize that, holy shit, maybe I don't have to go looking and working for everything and seeking everything. Maybe it's already here and I just have to like get my mind out of the way to receive it.
Yeah. One thing I love about breath work is there is somebody else captaining the ship, because there's a part in my brain every single time, despite having so many powerful experience, every single time, I've done it 30 times now, the first 10 minutes, the first 15 minutes, my brain's like, this is so silly. We're breathing. Nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen. But if you commit to the breath, if you just keep doing it and you do such an incredible job of creating this safe container for other parts to be like, okay, it's just breath. Sure, just breath. If you can commit to the breath, something biologically, something happens. And there's some wisdom inside me that takes me to where I need to be. It might not be where I want to go. And I don't know, besides psychedelics, I don't know anything else that guides you so effectively. And so,
well, really, it's, sorry, are you going to answer your question?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Really, it's taking you into flow state, which all of us want to get to, but it's really hard to get into sometimes.
Can you explain what flow state is?
Yeah, flow state is a certain state of mind where you are very present and allowing of just your mind feels like everything is just like, you've had those moments where you're just like, everything is lining up. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. You're not forcing, you're not distracted. You're just like, everything's in alignment.
It's kind of like something's flowing through you.
Something's flowing through you. Ideas are coming. Creation is flowing.
I love
stuff is
flow
coming
state.
Through.
I love flow state. So tell us about, how is it like flow state?
And especially for creators, it's like creators want to get into flow state because that's where the creation is just coming through you. You're not blocked. You're an open vessel, an open channel, right? And so we access flow state when there's a balance of discipline, the breath, breathing, 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 and surrender, letting go, allowing, letting go, relaxing. So it's the balance of the inhale, which is the discipline, the active inhale, the passive exhale, the surrendering and letting go, that brings us into that flow, that beautiful, clear center place where knowing can drop in, like deep wisdom and deep knowing can just drop in and show up.
I love that. I don't think I've ever heard you explain it like that. It's the balance of the discipline and the surrender coming together to create that flow. Beautiful.
Because oftentimes we'll have the discipline, right? We're like, we're doing the paintings, we're doing the morning pages, whatever, but there isn't like, how often do we have like the balance of both together? That's when the magic really comes in.
So speaking of creators, speaking of artists, there are a lot of people who deeply, passionately want to express their hearts. They want to create things. They want to be doing things. And the misconception, I believe, is that you need talent. Talent is what's missing in their lives. My contention, my belief is that it's actually there's something holding them back. There's a blockage. And so when I hear you talk about like healing and blocks that they can't see or they can see or whatever it might be, I think there's something really powerful for anyone who sincerely feels like there's more inside for them to create, but they're stuck in a pattern that's not allowing them to get past that whatever point that they always hit up against. It's been working with you has been very powerful for me from that stance. And I'm just wondering if you can speak to healing and trauma and breath work as a way of looking at past wounds and past things to help you get past whatever blockage you're stuck in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the greatest way to explain this is like when we are babies and we're young, we're fully expressed, right? We hold nothing in. Baby wants food, baby screams, like baby's upset, baby cries. Like it's all flowing through the child. The child's energy has nothing suppressing it, nothing holding it in. As we grow up, we learn to suppress our feelings, most of us, unless we have like a great parent that's like, supportive of us expressing our feelings. Most of us learn just even in society that like, you can't just release your tears or even things like laughter, right? Like you see little babies just like joyfully like giggling. And we slowly over time learn to suppress our feelings and suppress our energy, right? We learn that like instead of like just welling up with tears, the greatest way or the earliest way that we learn to hold those feelings in is by holding our breath. So we go, we hold our breath instead of just letting it out, letting it come through. And so that energy flowing through us is our expression. We learn over time to hold back our expression, and then we tailor it. It's like instead of just like allowing our energy to come through, we like manipulate it and are like, okay, no, like you can bring it out in this way with these people, or with this way with these people. Really, to be an artist and a creator and to be one that people resonate with and people feel, you want to be able to bring your energy and bring your expression forward. And most of us are really wounded in this place. We not only learn to hold it in and to suppress it, but we also brought it out and someone shut it down. And that's the case for a lot of us. And I think that, that's been a part of my story. I was a very loud, expressed individual as a child. Like I would get up on the coffee table and demand that my family watch my performance. I had big energy. I had a lot of energy moving through me. And I think, not my parents' fault, no one's fault. I think over time, I learned that that was maybe annoying. That was maybe a little too much. Maybe you could just be a little quieter, maybe just tame it down a little bit. And over time, as I grew up and eventually got into my 20s, I was like, you know what? Damn, I really want to access that part of me. I really want to go out dancing and bring that child me out. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't get there because I had so much shame around I'm going to be rejected. I'm going to be judged. I'm too loud. I'm too much. I'm too annoying. I'm too big. I have too many emotions, too many feelings, too much. Just shut it down and don't. And I think it's often the people that are most sensitive to feelings and have a lot of feelings and a lot of expression that are the most powerful creators and artists in the world. We're the people who help other people who are shut down and suppressed feel these things.
Yeah. I really appreciate that story because I think a lot of people think of therapy and breath work and trauma as this this horrific thing happened to them, so they need to go do this work. But I think trauma can be multiple things because oftentimes these older traumas that they happen to children. So, a children's mind is very different than an adult's mind. Can you speak a little bit about the spectrum that is trauma? Because I'm concerned that someone out there can really be impacted. A creator can be impacted by working with you, working with just breath work in general, but they're just I don't have trauma.
Right. I mean, you don't have to identify trauma as a label. You don't have to necessarily identify. Certain people identify with that as a term and certain people don't. Trauma is many things can happen to us when in our earlier life, from more severe to seemingly minimal, that we can perceive and experience in our body as trauma. When we go through a traumatic experience, our nervous system, we have a spike in our sympathetic nervous system. And usually our nervous system is flowing up and down, flowing up and down. Well, when we have an experience of trauma, something happens, and it can be different things. Yes, it could be an assault or something like that, but it could also be being left behind somewhere. You're a little kid and you get left behind somewhere, or you share something and it gets totally rejected and shut down. Mm-hmm. What happens in our body oftentimes is we go into shock, our nervous system freezes, or we, feel panic, we got to run away. And when we're younger, we don't know how to necessarily to process those feelings and those emotions in that moment. We don't know how to self-soothe to calm our nervous system down. So we get stuck in this pattern that keeps looping us back to the same experience over and over in our life.
In our adult lives, even.
In our adult lives, yeah, because it's kind of an unclosed loop in our body and in our system that is just it's just waiting to be closed. Now, trauma is held in the body as tension.
Trauma is held in the body as tension, like literal tension, like, or
yeah. So you may not. It may not be like, oh, my neck hurts, so I have trauma there. It can be subtle things, like a lot of people hold tension in our pelvic area. A lot of people hold, just like we hold, like I definitely do this. I think it's like a heart protection. Like my shoulders are a little bit more closed, like my ribs are a little bit more in. It's there's been a lot of studies done on just like subtle ways that we hold our body and subtle tensions in the jaw and little ways that we hold these experiences in our body. And the reason why breath work is so powerful for this is because when we start to breathe and we're opening up our body, with each exhale, we're relaxing and relaxing and relaxing, and we're releasing the tension. We're starting to release the tension and allow our body, our energy, and our emotions to flow. So sometimes that takes us into these older memories so that they can come up and be released and be re-experienced through the lens of being a witness of the experience.
Yeah.
So it closes the loop, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like to use a literal wound analogy, it's like you have this wound that you refuse to look at, and that wound can infect in other parts of your body. The first step usually is a little painful. It's like awareness and then treating the most important spot, and that hurts. But doing what you need to do to that spot then prevents you to get to a more optimal place of health. Yeah, I think it's a really important distinction that we're not just going into those more potentially painful parts to like create more tension, but your body is this incredible healing identification like system where it's like, oh, there's something here to be healed, that tension, whatever it is. But that's why it's also really, I think, important to do it with an expert. Right? Like you could just YouTube and do breath work. What do you think about that? Like, what would you say to someone that's like, oh, I'm just going to follow whoever on YouTube. Why do I need to work with a professional?
Yeah. I think there's different like layers of experience that you can have. The one thing that I do know about doing a lot of breath work now is that the mind is very smart and the body's very smart. We know when we're safe. We can sense. We use our senses to know and to feel when we're safe. The sound of someone's voice helps us feel safe. Touch on our body helps us feel safe. Warmth on our body helps us feel safe. Feeling like the earth or something beneath us. So when you are, your system can sense when someone is there with you, someone is holding the space for you. Just even knowing that helps you to do the surrender part easier. It can be trickier on your own to go deeper into things. It's kind of like crying on your own, like at home and being like, oh, I'm upset and crying versus like someone holding you and you can just let it out. It's kind of like similar to that. So it's not to say that you can't do breath work on your own. You definitely can. Usually people have a harder time going deeper into things on their own because their mind is just smart and tricks them and is like, we know we're on our own. We're not going to let you go that deep into things.
And so creators, artists, meditators, how could they utilize breath work to express more of themselves?
Yeah. Well, all of us have blocks. Like we're all, I think, inherently expressive beings. We're all emotional beings. We're all creative beings. And usually, like I said, that gets like suppressed or shut down over time. And then we get blocked up. Our channel of creativity and expression gets blocked up. And so breathwork is a really great way to open those channels, not only to open those channels, clear the way and help you get into a flow state so that you can keep flowing with more ideas and more, creativity, but also it can help you to move through some of the blocks that you have, or the maybe potentially traumas or memories or experiences that you have around expressing yourself, around creativity, around sharing your open expression in a group or with other people, so that you can just do more of that and get into deeper connection with that part of you and the wounds that you might have there. Because I think, a lot of us who feel called to making art and creating, we have wounds in this area. That's part of the reason we're called to the path, is to work through those places where we're blocked and unable to express ourselves. And so this is really helpful for that. Really, really helpful.
Yeah. And I appreciate you taking a minute to explain that it's trauma. The word trauma is just a label. Because I don't really, I think, resonate when I speak about my own self with trauma. But it's like shit happens to us at some point. Even if you have the best parents in the world, you're going to interact with other people. And I remember one of the breathworks I did with you, it took me back to this moment. I don't know, I was in grade 3 or something, and we were doing some sort of big presentation in front of the school. And I was asked to like hold something. I was really young, and I was just being goofy. And I was like in the middle of the stage with everyone. I was just being really goofy. And the teacher just came and, she was maybe having a bad day or whatever. And she's just like grabbed me and said like, stop taking up people's attention. Nobody cares. Stop. Don't say another word. And I was just like, oh. And like in the breathwork, I just went back to that moment of like, that moment was just like, I was really scared as a child, and she was so serious in her tone. And I took that to mean like, nobody cares, Darius. Say less, do less. Don't take up space. And he was just a child, and she was just a teacher. Who knows what type of day she was having. But to your point, like, then we just keep repeating it, and it shows up in our adult lives. So I'm just so great. And like, would I call that trauma? No. Does it have?
But it's the experience. It's like memories that you never got to process, right? Because you're so little. Like you were going to process those feelings and emotions.
Yeah.
So you stuffed them.
Yeah.
It's just still in your body. Our memories are held in our bodies.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just still in there, unprocessed. Do you have to go in and dig it up? No. But if you want to be a more fully expressed, fully embodied human, more creative human, you got to go back and reclaim those parts of you and bring them back so you can be whole now and bring more of yourself forward now.
Yeah. If you have no problem expressing yourself, if you have no tension and anxiety around whatever stage, whether it's a social media stage or a video stage, or then that's cool. You don't really need work like this. And there's lots of different modalities. It's just I wanted to bring you on this podcast because working with you has really impacted my life. sincerely. And it's not just the breath work. There's so much more to you, but I wanted to focus our conversation, this conversation on that. And, you know, people need to just try it out for themselves and see if it works. And if it doesn't, that's okay too. It's something that's worked really effectively for me. And I can't wait to continue diving in there with you. So thank you. Thank you for the impact you've had in my life. And I just want to say it's such a beautiful thing to see you, your practice, your heart, your soul, your art, your business continuing to flourish. Nobody will ever know how hard you work. I have a glimpse of it. I have a behind the scenes glimpse, and you work your butt off, and I'm really proud of you.
Thanks, love.
What'd you get shy for? What'd you get shy?
I'm just taking it in.
You taking it in, you're receiving. Good.
Yeah.
Tell the people where they can get a little taste of you and all the magic you do. Where's the best place to reach you?
Find me on the gram. I always tell people, drop me a DM. I love voice notes. I respond from the bathtub. So hit me up.
That's a true thing.
It's my nightly ritual. I respond to all my voice notes in the bathtub. So you get lovely water sounds in the background. Instagram is great. And right now, you know, for the rest of this quarantine business, I'm going to be doing Friday night breathworks. It's donation based. So come try it out, try it on, bring your friends, drop the link. But that's a really great, you need an hour and a half, and that's a really great way to explore.
Yeah, you really have no excuse. If you feel a calling towards this, it's essentially free. If you want to donate, obviously do that. You do it in your home with your headphones. It's epic music. And if you don't like it,
get my sultry breathwork voice on.
This is a true story. She does. Amazing, my love. Okay, cool. Thank you for your time. That's the podcast.
Thanks. Good times.
Okay.
Thanks
Peace, y'all.
for having me.